Oh, welcome to our deep dive into the infamous Jack the Ripper mystery, a tale that has baffled the world for over a century. This enduring enigma finds its roots in the grimy, gaslit streets of London's East End during the late 1800s. Picture this. The year is 1888. The sprawling metropolis of London is a buzzing hive of activity. Its East End, however, bears a stark contrast. It's a place of squalor and despair where life is as cheap as the gin that drowns the sorrows of its inhabitants. This is where our tale commences, in the grimy, labyrinthine lanes of Whitechapel. In the span of a few terrifying months, 5 women met with a grisly end. The brutality of their murders sent shockwaves through Victorian society. Their throats were slashed, their bodies mutilated in ways that suggested the handiwork of someone with a knowledge of human anatomy. The murders were so heinous, so chillingly methodical, they seemed to be the work of a madman. Each crime scene was bloodier than the last, each victim's end more horrifying. The world watched in horror and fascination as the body count rose. The victims all women of the night, their lives snuffed out under the cloak of darkness. And at the center of this blood-soaked tale, a phantom. An entity known only by a moniker as chilling as the crimes he committed, Jack the Ripper. A name that would become synonymous with the faceless terror that stalked the streets of Whitechapel. This case is more than just a murder mystery. It's a snapshot of a time when society was on the cusp of great change. It's a tale of class struggle, of the haves and the have-nots, of a world grappling with progress and the darkness that often accompanies it. The Jack the Ripper case is a fascinating study of the human capacity for evil, of the power of fear, and of a society in the throes of transformation. It's a mystery that's endured across the ages, capturing the public's imagination like few others. As we delve into the world of Victorian London, we'll explore the chilling details of these gruesome crimes. So, brace yourself for a journey into the shadows as we try to unravel the enigma of Jack the Ripper. The Ripper left behind a trail of victims, each more horrifying than the last. The streets of London's Whitechapel district became a macabre stage where a sinister play unfolded under the veil of night. This murderer didn't just kill, he left behind a nightmarish tableau of violence and mutilation. The first victim, Mary Ann Nichols, was found with her throat slashed twice down to the vertebrae. But it was the abdomen that held the most gruesome sight, savagely ripped open. It was a shocking level of brutality, suggesting a killer with a deep-seated rage. The subsequent victims, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, met similar fates, each one more horrific than the last, their bodies bearing the unmistakable signature of the Ripper. The precision of the wounds, the careful arrangement of the bodies, hinted at someone with a perverse fascination for the human anatomy. This wasn't just the work of a madman, there was a method to the madness. The way the organs were removed, the calculated incisions, led some to believe that the killer could have had medical training. Could Jack the Ripper have been a doctor, a surgeon perhaps, using his knowledge to carry out his gruesome deeds? Compounding the horror were letters sent to the police, taunting them, playing a sick game of cat and mouse. The most famous of these, the From Hell letter, was received by George Lusk, leader of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. Accompanied by half a human kidney, the letter claimed it was taken from one of the victims. Was it a cruel joke or a chilling message from the Ripper himself? These horrific crimes painted a grim picture of a killer who was not just brutal but possibly chillingly educated. A man who knew how to kill, how to mutilate, how to terrify a city. The evidence left behind at each crime scene only deepened the enigma of Jack the Ripper, a murderer whose identity remains one of history's most chilling mysteries. Over the years, more than 100 suspects have surfaced, each with their own intriguing story. Let's delve into the lives of a few who have piqued the interest of investigators and enthusiasts alike. First in line is Montague John Druitt, a barrister by day and an alleged serial killer by night. Despite leading a seemingly normal life, Druitt's suicide shortly after the last murder has led many to believe he was Jack the Ripper. His own family suspected him, and his convenient disappearance from the scene only added fuel to the fire. But with no physical evidence linking him to the crimes, Druitt's involvement remains a hypothesis. Next, we have Aaron Kosminski, a Polish barber with a history of mental illness. Kosminski resided in Whitechapel during the time of the murders, placing him at the heart of the crime scene. His violent tendencies and the fact that he was committed to an asylum shortly after the last murder make him a prime suspect. In recent years, DNA evidence from a shawl supposedly found at one of the crime scenes pointed to Kosminski, but the authenticity of the shawl and the validity of the DNA testing have been heavily disputed. Lastly, we turn to Francis Tumblety, an American quack doctor with a deep-seated hatred for women. Tumblety had been arrested on charges unrelated to the murders, but his release coincided with the end of the killings. His collection of uteruses, a detail that aligns eerily with the Ripper's modus operandi, makes him a fascinating suspect. However, skeptics argue that Tumblety's connection to the murders is based on circumstantial evidence. Indeed, the waters of this investigation are murky, filled with conflicting evidence and countless potential culprits. Each suspect provides a compelling story, yet none leads us to a definitive answer. The identity of Jack the Ripper remains shrouded in mystery, a chilling testament to the darkest corners of human nature. With no concrete resolution, theories about the Ripper's identity and motives abound. Firstly, let's delve into the royal conspiracy theory. This theory proposes that Jack the Ripper was a man of royal blood or a high-ranking official, tasked with covering up a scandalous royal secret. Some suggest it might have been Prince Albert Victor, Queen Victoria's grandson. The reason? A supposed illegitimate child that could have rocked the monarchy. The theory, though sensational, is often dismissed for its lack of solid evidence. Next, we have the theory that Jack the Ripper might not have been a Jack at all. Some argue that the killer could have been a woman dubbed Jill the Ripper. This theory was first proposed by Inspector Aberline, one of the lead investigators on the case. The main argument here is that a woman, especially a midwife, could move about Whitechapel at odd hours without arousing suspicion and could explain the surgical precision of the mutilations. But again, this theory also lacks definitive proof. Finally, there's the theory that Jack the Ripper was a professional, a doctor, or a butcher, someone skilled with the blade. This theory stems from the nature of the victims' injuries. They were brutal, yes, but they also demonstrated a certain degree of anatomical knowledge. The way organs were removed and incisions were made suggested that the killer had a working knowledge of the human body. This theory is one of the more prevalent ones, but like the others, it's just speculation. Each theory we've explored presents a different angle from which to view this chilling mystery. They offer potential glimpses into the psyche of one of history's most notorious killers. But without concrete evidence, they remain just that, theories. Each theory adds another layer to the Ripper's enigma, making him an enduring figure of fascination. Despite the best efforts of investigators and researchers, the identity of Jack the Ripper remains a mystery. This enigma has persisted over the decades, a testament to the complexity of the case and the limitations of the era in which it took place. In the heart of the Victorian age, forensic science was in its infancy. Crime scenes were often contaminated by the curious public or even the police themselves. The concept of fingerprinting was an alien one. DNA testing was a century away, and the idea of psychological profiling was yet to be conceived. This lack of technological sophistication allowed Jack the Ripper to carry out his gruesome deeds and vanish without a trace, leaving authorities in a fog of uncertainty. Adding to the confusion was the sheer volume of suspects. Over the years, more than 100 individuals have been named as potential Rippers, ranging from butchers and physicians to members of the British royal family. Every theory brought forth, every piece of evidence presented only seemed to deepen the mystery. The absence of concrete evidence led to a labyrinth of speculation and conjecture, making it nearly impossible to pinpoint a single, credible suspect. But perhaps the most vexing aspect of the Ripper case is its enduring cultural fascination. The story of Jack the Ripper isn't just a tale of a serial killer, it's a snapshot of a society grappling with rapid change and deep-seated fears. It's a narrative that continues to captivate us, to draw us in with its unsolved puzzles and unanswered questions. So why does the mystery of Jack the Ripper continue to fascinate us? Perhaps it's because it taps into our innate curiosity. Our desire to solve the unsolvable, to make sense of the senseless. Or perhaps it's because the Ripper case, with its gruesome details and myriad suspects, provides a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows of society. Even after a century, Jack the Ripper continues to evade capture, leaving us with more questions than answers. The enigma of the Ripper is a chilling reminder of the limits of our understanding, a puzzle that continues to intrigue and confound us to this day.